Listen to the vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. I'm very happy to welcome Juan Punchy Gonzalez here. Now, it's going to take me a second, but he is a musician, a producer, video maker, tour manager, audio engineer, and I would assume a self-proclaimed sex symbol.
Okay, well, let me tell you about the sex symbol title. And I try to explain this to a lot of people that I'm actually a sex symbol that produces records and tours and is an audio engineer and makes records. It's the opposite. I'm not a recording engineer, producer, whatever, who happens to be a sex symbol. It's the opposite. And
Gotcha.
and the reason for that is that if someone is going to take on the burden, I figured it should be me.
Gotcha. Well, Juan, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Um, well, I began my professional modeling career. No, I'm just kidding. I was raised in a theater family, so I know nothing but performing arts. I did acting as a child and got into theater management at a very young teenage age, 12, 13 years old. I started working in theater management, and by 18 I was working in all like the local clubs and working with all the bands locally and stuff, and by 21 I was on my first world tour, and I never stopped. I am who I am, and I actually retired from the touring game in 2015 when I had my first kid, and now I have two children, and I'm very happily working at a theater in Clearwater, Florida as a full-time job. I still do the studio stuff on the side, mostly mixing and mastering because everybody these days is tracking themselves. And I still tour from time to time. I just actually just got back from a South American tour with Symphony X, which is like a progressive metal, really awesome, great band. They're great players, the whole nine yards. So yeah, I am me for a living, and I have been me for a living for a long time, and I don't know anything else. So yeah, that's who I am.
Man, you ought to write a book about your life.
Nobody would believe any of this nonsense that happens to me in when I'm working in this business. Nobody would believe it. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. We just went in and out of Lima, Peru,
Mm.
and the band goes through immigration, the whole thing, and then it's my turn. And they're like, please come back here. Okay, so I follow this immigration officer to this room off to the side, and they take me to the Interpol office, right? And it turns out that my name and my relative birth date matches about a dozen and a half wanted criminals and or missing persons in Peru.
No.
So here I am for 20 minutes having to prove that I'm not that Juan Gonzalez from Argentina or Venezuela or Bolivia or Mexico or any of these places. And I have to present all these IDs and all this stuff. And eventually they let me go. So we do the show and all that. We come back to the airport the next day to fly out. And guess who gets pulled off to the side again? This guy, with the very, very uncommon name of Juan Gonzalez in South America, and like, might as well be called Joseph Smith in Utah. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I get pulled over into the Interpol office, and the funny bit is that you're not in America anymore when you're sitting in an Interpol office and there's pictures of saints all on the walls. There's a statue of Mary, you know what I mean? And Jesus is on the cross and a statue. And you're like, all right, I'm definitely not in America anymore because this is in the Interpol office. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, they let me go, and obviously because I'm here now. But nobody would believe you. You're like, oh yeah, I got pulled over by Interpol. If you say that in casual conversation, like, oh yeah, the last time I was in Lima, Peru, I got pulled over by Interpol. What? you know. But yeah, I've seen all kinds of crazy nonsense. Some of which would probably make for a really good book. And if you were to film it, you'd be like, nah, that didn't happen. That's CGI. You know. But sure.
What all bands have you worked with?
Okay, so it's been a while. I have to think about this, but most of my career was spent in a metal. I did a lot of metal.
Mhm.
So I was with a band called Morbid Angel for over 20 years as their sound engineer. I actually did everything for that band. I started off as their drum tech, then became a guitar tech, did merchandising, did lighting, front of house engineer, then tour management. Then I wound up producing 2 records for the band. I acted as a director and film editor for a documentary for them, for Earache Records, and then I also worked for another metal band called Nile. I was with them for 15 years, and I also did 2 music videos for them and did a full-length documentary. Uh, I did I worked for Monster Magnet, Symphony X, King's X, Living Color.
Mm.
Did a lot of Broadway touring with the National Tour of Chicago, and as well as a lot of Broadway touring, regional stuff, book shows, that kind of stuff. I also worked for a pop artist by the name of Alexa Ray Joel, who is the daughter of Billy Joel, and this was in 2006 to 2009 when she was trying to make a career for herself as a young pop singer. And that was a lot of fun. I did a 12-Foot Ninja, which was a fun band. They just recently broke up. But I just basically, and the thing about me is that I was never much of a train jumper. There's a lot of guys out there that have like a 30, 40 bands on their resume, and that's because they're only there for a year. I maintained employment with these bands.
Mm.
And I guess that's either a testament to me being a sucker or they just liked what I did. One of the two. I definitely could have made a left-hand turn a few times and probably would have done better in my career in theory, right? If I had like done this instead of doing this other thing. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm very, very happy to be where I am today. And with my family and everything, and all the appropriate turns equal where you're at. So I'm not sure if I would like my life if I had did different things. I'm
Mm.
happy where I'm at. Let's put it that way.
But did you have a preference of what you did for the bands?
Well, I'm a sound engineer. I love being the sound engineer. I love being the fifth Beatle. It's the best. You know what I mean? Like to have your hand on the suck or the not suck knob is the best. You know what I mean? And luckily I've never, and I will say this in all honesty, I've never worked with a band that's had a terrible drummer, and that's the backbone of any live show. If your drummer sucks, everybody knows it. You can hide shite guitar playing easily
Mhm.
amidst a really good drummer, you know? And I've been very lucky in the sense that I've had nothing but awesome guitar players that I've worked with, awesome good drummers, awesome singers. I mean, like I'm so lucky in that I was never tied down to a situation where like, man, I've got to try to make this sound good and it's impossible. You know? So
Mhm.
either either I'm very lucky or I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna say I'm very lucky. I'm gonna leave it at that because you don't choose the people that you work with most of the time, and it just gets chosen for you. It happens before you, and you're offered the jobs you're offered.
Right.
And I've been very lucky in the sense that like I've just had a lot of talent around me all the time, and it does make my job easier as a sound engineer. But that is my job of choice. I hate
You,
tour managing. I hate it. I hate having to go find bananas and get people out of bed and get them on airplanes and do all this stuff. I would rather be a white glover that shows up and twists knobs for a living. And, I wear my glasses on the end of my nose, that kind of thing, and act like I'm very important in English. You know, I would love to do that, but I always wind up getting my hands dirty and I have to like, pull somebody out of some drunk guy out of his bed and go, "Come on, dude, we got to catch a plane in an hour. Let's go." That winds up being me a lot of the time. So, but it's okay. I'm fine with it.
or did you have somebody that was just impossible to work with?
I've had people that I've had disagreements with, or we didn't see eye to eye on the way things were going, that kind of thing, or they themselves were miserable and therefore projected their misery onto others. Um, I recently, and I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a band that I did work for in 2004, and the one there were 2 guitar players. One guitar player I did not get along with, and I just recently saw him like a month or so ago before I did the Symphony X tour. And we saw each other and we embraced and we said, "Man, how you doing? You know, it's been 20 years. How you doing?" You know what I mean? And at that point, you realize that there are people that you can get along with, but not necessarily work with.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And that's fine too. You know, that's fine too. I but I have a lot of I've maintained really, really good friendships with, I would say, 90% of the people that I had the opportunity to work for. So yeah, yeah. To answer your question, yes and no.
Yes and no. Well, out of all the touring that you've done, you've met other bands. Have you met your heroes?
I have yet to meet my ultimate uber hero, and that's Sir Brian May of Queen.
Ooh, yeah.
And every time that Queen was touring, like when Queen came back with Paul Rogers, and then of course with Adam Lambert now, when every time they came to town, I was gone. Right, I was somewhere else, and I 3 years ago or so, it was pre-pandemic, so 3 4 years ago,
Mhm.
I got to see Queen with Adam Lambert, and I spent the money. I paid the $400 tickets for my wife and I. I was in the sixth row on Brian's side of the stage, so I got to study him. And I'm such a huge fan. I even bought one of his guitars, like one of the Brian May guitars from his factory. Matter of fact, I play that guitar on my new Cosmic Punch record, which at some point we should talk about, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
But I play that guitar exclusively. But he is like one of those guys that I would love to meet. And I have so many colleagues and friends of mine that are in the business that were like, "Oh yeah, you know, when we were in town, Queen was in town. They invited us out, and we got to meet everybody, and they didn't care. They didn't care that they're meeting this icon of astronomy and guitar playing. I mean, this guy has pieces of equipment on the ISS that he designed, and he's a great guitar player. Forget about it. You know,
Well,
yeah, I don't know if you know that about him or not, but
oh,
Brian
yeah,
May
yeah.
is, yeah, he's a PhD, doctor of astrophysics and all this kind of stuff. On top of the fact that he's like a great guitar player and great songwriter and a legend and a knight. Now he's a knight.
Right. Sir Brian May.
Sir Brian.
Well, now that you mention it, talk a little bit about your record.
Okay, well, the brand new Cosmic Punch record. Now, Cosmic Punch is one of two projects that I run all the time. I call them vanity projects because nobody will play with me. So I do everything. I do all the music, I do all the singing, I write all the songs and all that. And Cosmic Punch is straight up nerd rock. I don't sing about anything except science fiction and nerdy stuff and pop culture, and that's it. No politics, no nonsense, no poop. None of that. It's fun music. It's pure escapism. I mean, if you want to hear a song about Star Trek, I got a song for you. You know what I mean? And you want to hear a song about anime, I got a song for you. Matter of fact, that's the current single. It's called "I Love Anime." There's a music video on YouTube if you feel so inclined, and it's also available in 3D for people that have the MetaQuest glasses or any other kind of 3D abilities for themselves. And that's it. That's how I roll. You know, I want to have fun with the music. I do it all myself. Okay, I take that back. There's one song on the record that's called "Woke." Okay, and it's not what you think. It is an argument between a woke and a non-woke person, but primarily about science fiction and how science fiction is either A, blotted, or B, enhanced by woke ideology. And it's done in the style of a Jeff Steinman Meatloaf song. So it's 7.5 minutes long, and there's orchestras, and I hired a horn section from Chicago to play on it. I sent them the stems. They played the horns on it. They sent it back to me. So I had, and I hired a girl singer to play that, kind of Paradise by the Dashboard Light, girl singer section. So I hired a girl named Samantha Martin, who's fantastic here from the Florida area. And I just did this stupidly, like, again, 7.5 minutes of overproduced nerd drivel about being woke and non-woke in the science fiction realm. And the way I wrote it was So you have this guy, he's saying he's not woke. You got the girl who says she is woke. And then when the two of them are singing the duet in unison and they're both singing together, they're saying the same things to each other that they say to each other, that woke and non-woke people say to each other.
Mm-hmm.
You're ignorant, you don't get it, you're not that smart, you know, blah blah. You know, and it's what it winds up being is this unbelievably vicious circle of nonsense that both these ideologies, either in or out of science fiction, have. Because
Mm-hmm.
of course, people that are not woke think that people that are woke are morons. And of course, people that are woke think non-woke people are morons. So I guess we're all just a bunch of morons.
Hey, I've had that discussion many a time. I would be on the non-woke side. I cannot stand them putting politics and the ideologies and everything. I just want the good old-fashioned stories that I grew up with.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, as a I'm sure did you get into any sci-fi when you were growing up? I mean, I'm
Oh
looking at your
yeah.
background to see all the music stuff and all that. But so like Roddenberry as a writer,
Hmm.
okay, he introduced quite a bit of what many people would consider to be woke ideology. The first interracial kiss, Uhura
True.
being a black woman and an officer in the 60s. We weren't even 20 years outside of World War II, and he's got a Japanese guy driving the damn Enterprise, and you got a Russian. We were in the middle of a Cold War with the Russians, and there's a Russian manning the helm on the weapons systems for the Enterprise. I mean, all this stuff is very progressive for 1960s
It
television, right?
was, but
Okay.
not preachy.
But it's not slap you in the face with a fish
Exactly.
progressive. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
that's what drives me nuts. It's like, so does that mean that the people that they're trying to appease are that dim that they wouldn't get nuanced concepts?
Right.
Is that what that means? That they're so dim that they don't get nuanced concepts? Or have they gone so far into the insanity world that they think that this is how everybody thinks?
You know,
And
that's another argument.
that's why we have Captain Burnham crying on every episode of the new Star Trek Discovery when she's supposed to be running a ship. She's crying and carrying on like a sissy. And it's like, woman, no one would hire you for being a captain if you cried at the drop of a hat like this.
Right.
Who would want to follow a leader that's this emotional? Get the job done. Janeway got it done. That's who
Right.
got it done. Janeway got it done,
I mean,
right?
we were the generation that saw Sigourney Weaver come in and fight an alien, and we were in
Ripley
her
got it
corner.
done.
We were in her
Ripley,
corner.
that's right. Ripley got it done, baby.
Right.
Right? That's strong female to me.
Yeah. Princess Leia, perfect
Princess Leia
example.
got it done.
Right.
Princess Leia strangled a giant slug in a bikini. Now that's cool.
Right.
I mean, with a chain. She wrapped that chain around his throat and pulled tightly. And we could see the side view of that bikini, and it was fantastic. I was 11. And it was great, and I believed every second of it.
It was 1983. I would have been 13.
You got a couple of years on me, young man. But
Well, that's the problem. I think folks nowadays they don't believe that we cared about strong women characters, but yet we grew up with Ripley and
yeah,
Princess Leia and you
friggin'
know.
Linda Carter is Wonder
Oh
Woman. Give
my
me a break.
God, I was going to say that too. Linda Carter. I'd never missed Wonder Woman.
And in theory, okay, and well, I wonder why you would miss Wonder Woman. She had big bazooms and she did. Dude, man, I was like 8.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like I was 8. You know, I didn't think about that kind of stuff until I became 18. Then I realized, like, wow, man, Wonder Woman was all right. You know what I mean? Like, but when you're 8, dude, anybody that's over the age of 20 looks ancient to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like think about this. Okay, I'm not going to say Madonna now, but say Madonna like 15 years ago. Okay,
Hmm.
when she was like in her mid 50s or whatever. I don't know how she is now. I'm going to guess she's in her. Let's say she was 50, 15 years ago. I'm going to guess. Okay. Just doing basic math. She looked good to me. I was like, man, Madonna looks pretty good for 50, right? But to a 6-year-old, she was an old hag,
Right.
right? So,
Well,
and now here's the scary thing, right? Is you look at the Golden Girls, right? The Golden Girls are in their 50s, mate.
hmm
In the show, in the chronology, the golden years, the 50s. So Betty White's supposed to be in her 50s. B. Arthur, they're all in their 50s in that show. They don't look 50 to me. I know 50-year-old
no,
women that don't look that old these days. You know what I mean?
no.
Like, forget about it. So, dude, Archie Bunker
hmm
was 42. That's his character's
Oh,
age was
wow.
42. Archie Bunker. Okay?
That's crazy.
Could you imagine?
You look nowadays and I'm in my mid 50s, right? Or almost
Sure.
mid 50s.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to people and they'll say, "Oh, well, how old are you?" And I tell them and they're going, "Well, you don't look like it. You still look like a young pup." Well, I've got grandkids that are teenagers, so
Right.
eh,
Well, think about this. You're in your mid 50s, right?
right.
You're 2 years younger than Wilford Brimley's character in Cocoon.
No, no way.
Yeah.
No
We
way.
won't get any older and we won't ever die.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. Diabetes. Quaker Oats. It's the right thing to do.
I say I don't want to get into a political type
Sure.
discussion,
Sure,
but
sure.
our generation, we grew up watching All in the Family and the
Yeah,
Jeffersons and all that, and um uh, they had their commentary or whatever, but
of
the way
course.
they did it, Archie Bunker, he would say his ignorant stuff, but
Yep.
if you're sitting at home watching it, you were not only laughing, but you're like, I don't want to be like that guy.
Of course not. Because he reminded of your in the 70s, he reminded you of your ignorant granddad.
Right,
Right?
right, right.
That would say these ignorant things, and you're like, Jesus, when I'm not going to say these words that he used to say on the air. Thank you, Norman Lear. But I mean, you know, Norman Lear is a brilliant writer. Now, Norman Lear is also a raging like lefty commie. You know what I mean? And that's fine. Whatever. He's a brilliant writer. I don't care.
He was very
Because
brilliant.
he wrote really a great show that you could not make today.
Oh, heck no. Heck no.
You could not make that show today unless you reversed the character races.
I I suppose. But I mean, I
I
say
think you could make you could make that show with an all black cast, and I think it would still be a comedy.
you had the Jeffersons.
The Jeffersons too. There was there you go. There's your all black cast right there. And again,
Right,
Norman
right.
Lear. Thank you very much because the Jeffersons was a spinoff of All in the Family.
Exactly. And
Incredible.
I gotta say, that's how we fought the ignorance back then.
Exactly. You make fun of it. You put a mirror on it, and there you go.
And I felt like we were moving ahead. Now I feel like we're going backwards.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. It just makes me scratch my head. Now I'm trying to raise my children Gen X. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm doing, I think, a pretty decent job as a dad. My kids love Kiss. My kids love the Star Wars movies. My kids love all the classic rock stuff. My kid knows my oldest, my 8-year-old. He can tell you stats on bands, who's the guitar player, who's alive and who's dead. He can tell you like all this stuff. He knows all these band names. It's really and the band members' names as well and what they did. I have the Roku box and it's got like this video channel. I think it's called Excite. I think is the video channel.
Mhm.
And he just dials in that 1980s rock and metal and just watches the music videos of from when I was a kid. It's fantastic. He watches Schoolhouse Rock
Oh
because
yeah.
that's on Disney Plus. You can get the Schoolhouse Rock and it looks fantastic. It's remastered and its audio's, well, it's still in mono, but the audio's still great.
Right.
So he's learning conjunction, junction.
Mhm.
What's
What's
your
your
function?
function?
You know? So I'm raising him Gen X as best as I can with on-demand television and all the things that we didn't have. We had VHS tapes and that kind of nonsense, and you had 4 channels until cable showed up in your neighborhood, and it was what it
Right.
was, man. And rotary phones and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like cell phones the size of bricks. You know, like like hang on a second, I get my radio here. This is ridiculous. I have a
Well,
prop and I can't get my prop to work anyway. So
I will say I miss the days when the only thing I knew about Generation X was Billy Idol's
it
band.
was Billy Idol's band. Yeah, it was Billy Idol's short-lived band. Until he
Yep.
realized he could make more money without them.
And I had every one of their albums too.
I had Billy Idol in my theater for a private party.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, this my theater does these private parties, like I don't know, 3, 4 of them a year. And Billy Idol was one year, and it was so cool. He was so good, man. It was Billy Idol with Steve Stevens. He was in the band again.
No way.
Yep.
No way.
And it was super super cool. And it was great to see how they put their show together, and their staff was really good and all that stuff. Yeah, we've done some really really great shows here in my theater as private parties. I mean, we do great shows anyway for the general public, but we've had my theater's a 750 capacity room. And it's a 100-year-old building, and so the city owns it and all that stuff. But for private parties here, we've had Styx, we've had
My
Billy
favorite bands,
Idol,
man.
right? Diana Ross,
Oh yeah.
Foreigner. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like on my relatively small, 18 by 24-foot wide stage, and it's like going to see them in like 1970 whatever when they were a club band.
Yeah.
You're like that close, and they put on such a great show. They do such a great job. All these bands, and they're people like Diana Ross. They're such professionals. It's ridiculous. There's no nonsense. They're just such professionals. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We went to go see Judas Priest a couple of years ago. And here recently we went and saw Quiet Riot and Slaughter and
right.
all these bands. And yeah, you can tell our generation because right about 9, 10 o'clock, everybody in the room is looking at their watch. I think it's about time to go to bed.
Yeah. No, that happens, man. And the idea of going to a general admission show is like, what? I can't pick my seat? What are you talking about?
And
You know,
for a guy who's in his 70s, Rob Halford still got it, man.
Rob Halford rules. He's always
Mm.
ruled and will continue to rule. Period.
And
Like I've had the pleasure of seeing Judas Priest. Um, I saw him in the Painkiller tour, and then I saw Judas Priest when Ripper was in the band,
mhm.
and I saw Judas Priest when Halford came back, and European festivals and stuff like that where I was working, and it's so great. It's so great. I mean, he's awesome. I mean, even like I know they've done records since then and whatever, and they had records, but dude, Painkiller as a record, as a piece of art is fantastic.
Oh,
To me, the whole record is just so well done, and I think that's the pinnacle. I think of Halford's voice and the pinnacle of the guitar playing and the pinnacle of everything. I mean, that was like the band they were the best. You know what I mean? The best,
yes.
and so you celebrate it. Kind of like for me, the pinnacle of Kiss makeup era was Destroyer, right?
Hmm.
Like if you listen to Destroyer as a piece of art from front to back, every song rules. And I mean, even "Do You Love Me" rules. It's funny, you know what I mean? It's a funny song, but Great Expectations and Beth is on that record. I mean, it's insane. It's such a well-made record, and so hats off to Ezrin and hats off to for Kiss for that one. But yeah, Priest is awesome. Yeah. Anyway, sorry,
Oh man,
sorry.
that's
Kiss is on
okay,
my
man.
radar these days, man, because my kid is into Kiss now, and it's awesome. So Kiss is on my radar.
You should come back on and then we talk about nothing but the old bands.
I'm ready.
Let's
I'm
do it.
ready.
Let's set up another one and just do it.
I'm ready whenever you are.
Hey man, I'll send you my calendar. We'll do
Very
it. We'll
good.
set it up again, man.
Too bad I'm
What?
not gonna be in Texas anytime soon. I'd say, hey man, come out to a show. But I'm not touring anymore. I'm sorry.
Well, just come by to visit. We're
There you
wanting to
go.
get out to Florida, so maybe we'll head your way.
Well, I'm near Tampa, so that my theater's in Clearwater, but I live in Tampa. So if you're gonna come out to Tampa, the weather's always is usually pretty good, and then it rains at 5 o'clock, and then it's
Hmm.
over, and then we're good. At least in the summers.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, so for Cosmic Punch, it's cosmicpunch.com. It's pretty easy.
Hmm.
And from there, there's it. You can spider off and you can watch all the videos, and there's the records are there, and I'm available on all the streaming platforms, all that yada yada, and social media is all there. Everything's there. And then my other project, Apex Zenith, there's links to that as well there. And Apex Zenith is 80s synth pop, like straight up 80s synth pop with do 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 type toms and you know all of that stuff. Wow 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 keyboards and all that nonsense that uh, the androgynous people used to play in MTV in 1982. That kind of thing. So uh, I have the nerd rock thing, which is classic rock kind of vibe, and then the Apex Zenith thing, which is classic synth pop kind of vibe. And at some point, I guess I'll do a country act. I don't know. I would do whatever floats my boat at the time. You know what I mean? I have all this recording gear, and I might as well do something with it. It's better than playing video games. That's what I always say. So, and to my
Hey.
dozens of fans, all the flat the earth, new music is coming soon.
Hey, you know what? The drummer for Alice Cooper, what was his name? Smith, Neil Smith.
Okay,
He's got a country album out. Killmonger Goes West.
fantastic.
So,
Um,
why not?
the Simex guys and I were joking because we were in Costa Rica, and all this music that they have these samba bands, these awesome like Latin bands where there's like 15 people on stage, a horn section, and some girl that's dancing that sings the backups, and they're always singing about how much they love some chick. You know what I mean? There's a guy that does nothing but play the cowbell. You know what I mean? I was like, imagine putting together like an all-star band of metal dudes,
Hmm.
right? And you do this style of music, but you only do covers of famous heavy metal songs.
Okay.
Dude, it would be the opening band for every metal tour on planet Earth. You know what I mean? Like it would be they dress up with the outfits and the sequins and the whole thing and the hats. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing, a mustache. And it's not technically cultural appropriation, okay? It's just wearing a costume. Get over it. You know what I mean? Nobody gets
Right.
mad. Dude, nobody gets mad at anybody from South America that dons face paint and does black metal. That's technically cultural appropriation. You know what I mean? Nobody gets mad at anybody from Indonesia that grows their hair out and starts singing like Poison. That's cultural appropriation. I mean, it's ridiculous. You like music or you don't like music is supposed to be this kind of like planetary global mind kind of concept.
Right.
And why not? Why not?
I don't understand it either. I mean, aren't we supposed to share all this kind of stuff? So
We
why
should.
does it
That's
have
why
to
there should be
be
an all-star metal band dressed like
right?
mariachis
Why
singing
not?
singing covers.
And well, also wanted to ask you what the
Sure.
necessary evil that's out there. Do you have social media?
Yeah, of course I do. Again, if you go to cosmicpunch.com, links are there, and you'll be able to find everything you need.
I will make it easier for folks and I'll put all those links in the description.
Oh my
But
God, it's
Juan,
unnecessary. Just do the cosmicpunch.com. Web 1.0. Web 1.0. You know what I mean? Like back in the day when the internet was young, we had a .com and we were damn happy to have it. You know what I mean? And the .com is the flag in the ground. You know what I
right.
mean? Like if you have a .com, that's the flag in the ground, dude. That means that I'm a pro. I'm doing this, and I don't understand these people that they only have an Instagram and that's how they get on the internet. It's like, what? The day that Instagram dies, your entire world will collapse.
Right.
And that'll be it. If you own the .com, you have an island in this virtual planet called the internet. And as the other planets in the solar system come and go, your .com remains so long as you pay for the hosting.
Juan, this has definitely been entertaining. I really appreciate you coming on, man.
No worries. I hope you had a good time, and we'll talk more metal later. But I'm ready, dude. I'm so ready.
Yes, we're gonna set that up. And I also want to thank all you folks out there. I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button. And from our regulars, you guys are awesome because you make it possible for me to do this. Until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network